Hello and welcome again to Geometric View. Why do we build houses and close doors at night? That's a class 3 social studies question. And the textbook answer is to protect us from rain, sun and wild animals. In today's world, when a majority of people live in urban and semi-urban areas, it is natural for any child to wonder, rain and sun I can understand, but wild animals, I haven't seen any. Well, class 3 students can't be told this, but a more truthful answer to that question is to protect us from rain, sun and other people. Hurts, doesn't it? To be more specific, to protect us from people in one's own locality far more than in an enemy country. So if you live in a locality where people have love, concern, empathy and mutual respect, you're likely to lead a safe, happy and wholesome life. But the prevalent narrative at the moment is different. It says that if we can teach our enemy nations a lesson, we'll all feel good and be better protected. So there's this buoyant mood in the country this week as 5 Dazu Rafales have landed in Ambala, Haryana this week, each of them costing more than a whopping 16 billion rupees. I was at the Le Bourget Aéroport in 2011 reporting the Paris Air Show for the Economic Times when the Rafales were displayed. At that time, the Manmohan Singh government had almost sealed a deal with France's Dassault Aviation to purchase 126 Rafales at just over 5 billion rupees each. A good 9 years later, we now have the first 5 of 36 Rafales that we have agreed to buy in a renegotiated deal in which each aircraft will cost more than 16 billion rupees. While the arrival of the Rafales have sparked deserving celebrations, it would be wise to stay sober about some ground realities that have nothing to do with the Chinese or the Pakistanis eyeballing us, but all to do about how we Indians are treating ourselves. Let's look at a few recent incidents from Arattapuzha in Kerala to Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu, onto Guna district in Madhya Pradesh and right up to Uttarakhand in the north. In Tuticorin, Tamil Nadu, a father and son, Jay, Raj and Benix, are picked up by police for the crime of keeping their little mobile shop open beyond the COVID lockdown hours. And what the family gets back are their severely ruptured bodies. One report said that so much blood oozed out of their bodies that their lungis had to be changed 5 times. Thank God, at least 2 women stood up in Tamil Nadu against this dastardly act. One of them posted that story on social media, which traveled far and wide, and another, a brave woman constable of that same police station, was willing to testify against virtually all of her colleagues. That woman constable probably would need a personal Rafale to protect herself from all her colleagues through her career. Then there was this incident in Guna district, Madhya Pradesh, where we see how our cops evict a visibly impoverished farmer Dalit couple. Of course, all the police men and women who were seen beating and kicking the couple have all come through police training colleges. What would have happened to that couple after the incident? We don't know. Who cares? And what would happen to the police officials involved in the incident? Or they'll face a high-level inquiry. And further north in Uttarakhand, this is what cops did to a youth for riding a bike without a helmet, stabbing his bike key right into his forehead. Most often, these assaults on fellow Indians, their tortures and murders happen slowly but steadily in test cricket fashion. but sometimes it can go into limited overs cricket style, like 2 years ago in Tuticorin again, when unsuspecting men and women protesters were fired at, taking more than a dozen lives. And to think this is the land of Buddha, Ashoka and Gandhi. This year marks 101 years since the Jallianwala Bagh massacre in Amritsar, Punjab, when British Colonel Reginald Dyer asked his soldiers to shoot at men, women and children who had gathered at the park. His soldiers had kept firing until they had nearly finished their 1,650 rounds of ammunition, leaving nearly 400 dead and roughly 1,000 injured. What has changed in these 101 years from the time India had British masters to now? We now seem to have thousands of Indian dyers targeting Indians everywhere and being protected in their jobs. And how are they protected? This week, for instance, we heard of a court in Mathura handing life terms to 11 policemen who are accused in the killing of an ex-royal in Rajasthan, Raja Man Singh, in 1985, which is 35 years ago. Now, assuming that those policemen were around 40 years then, they would all be past 70 years now, and this is only a lower court verdict. They still have time to go and appeal to higher courts. No wonder custodial tortures are being done with impunity, and one study says there have been 1,727 custodial deaths in 17 years between 2001 and 2018. And when there are no Colonel Reginald Dyers around, we Indians beat each other up, as happened in Arattapuzha in Alappuzha district of Kerala last Sunday, over a dispute regarding a pathway. But this week we swell with pride over the Rafales, which have a top speed of 1.8 Mach, which is around 2,000 kilometers per hour. While they display their brutal power in the skies, we can't overlook the brutality we unleash on some of our own who travel at less than 10 kilometers per hour. Great nations are also compassionate nations, with compassionate people like this man KP Jaisal, who in 2018 lent his back to so many people during a flood rescue operation. He never asked the people who trod his back what language they spoke, what religion they belonged to, or what food they ate. And great nations don't behave like gangsters. Until such compassion and mutual respect happens, we'll probably have to keep checking our doors at night. We aren't class 3 students, so we can't be told the truth about our country. There is sun, rain, and a lot of really wild animals who are well protected. The Rafales can't do much about it. Thank you.